Well, good morning, everyone. This is John Craig, and it is good to be with you on this second day of the week, right? I'm counting in my head. For some reason, I lost track. Can you believe that? Yeah, anyway, never mind. Hey, so I am your host of the second day of the week for Let Us Reason Together. I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get it said one way or another, so y'all bear with me. And it's based on Isaiah 1:18, which says, "Come now and let us reason together, says Yahweh. Though your sins are as scarlet, they'll be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool." And so this is where we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about some current events today. We're going to talk about the Torah portion. We're going to push through. We're going to have some breakthrough today. But I'm going to tell you this is going to be a very interesting show, and you're going to want to make sure you watch it. You want to give us a thumbs up. We certainly appreciate that. And share it on your social media. Let people know what's going on here at the Messianic Lamb Network, and get the word out, because we are here to speak the truth, to discover the truth, and have a little bit of fun along the way. So I'm so glad that you've joined us. It is Monday, the 28th of December in the year 2020, and it is the 13th day of the 9th month of the year, of the Hebrew year 5781, and it's also known as the month of Tevet. And here's your verse of the day. It is John 16:7, says, "But I tell you the truth, it is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the helper will not come to you. But if I go, I will send him to you." So that was Yeshua. And all I can say is thank you, Yeshua, for the helper, the Ruach HaKodesh. And so, I've got with us today on the show, sitting to this side of me, which is my right side, Miss Sandi Craig. Good morning, Sandi.
Good morning.
It's nice to see your smiling face.
I already heard that this morning. You can't use the same line.
What? I didn't say smiling face.
No, Mark said that.
Mark said that.
So you can't copy him.
Well, maybe that's why it was in my mind.
It is, because you normally don't say that.
I'm so glad to see you and your curly hair this morning, Miss Sandi Craig. Okay. All right. And then I've got Mark David Smith from the great state of North Carolina. Good morning, Mark.
Wah, wah, wah.
There he is. Hi. Hey, I want y'all to notice something. Do you see something about Mark? That the beard's getting longer again. He had it all trimmed up.
I've noticed that the last few times I've done.
And his hairline is lengthening. And you see that? So if y'all are watching this right now, hey, there we go.
He has a fast growing beard. That's all I can say.
Yeah. There you go. He must take some good vitamins.
Still alive and well, still alive and well. Every now and then, it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm still alive and well.
Okay. Everybody, that was our musical rendition for the morning here on Let Us Reason Together. So,
little trivia for you. Can you name the artist of who did that song?
No.
And you might win something, and you might not. I don't know. I didn't think you could.
No, Barry Manilow.
No, I can tell you no.
That sounds like a Barry Manilow song, don't it?
No.
Okay, well, we'll leave that for you. True. Hey, I have another trivia question for you.
All right.
Let's see, there is one Torah portion, and you probably got this in your email because I sent this to the producers of Lamb yesterday, but there is one Torah portion that never appeared in 2019, but it has appeared twice in 2020. Do you know what that Torah portion is? She's cheating. She told you what it was.
It is to say, you're trying to make me look like a hero.
What?
She was trying to make me look like a hero.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. That's all right. Yeah. She's did you pass notes to him in high school too? Sandi?
I did not know him in high school.
You didn't know him in high
school? You wish you knew me at high school.
No, I did not.
I thought maybe you guys were high school buddies or something.
No, I met him whitewater rafting. That's when I met him.
Oh, yeah. I kind of remember that story.
Yeah.
It's a true story.
Okay. Well,
True
Yeah,
story.
she wouldn't ride in my boat for some reason. I don't know why.
I didn't know you. I wasn't in the boat of a stranger.
so what's the Torah portion?
All right. Tell it, Sandy. You knew it.
I didn't say I knew it.
Yeah.
I gave you something to say. Don't try to pass the buck.
You were trying to make me the hero. All right. So this is what the notes that she passed me. Vayechi.
Bite. Oh my goodness. Where are you from?
I didn't catch that.
I had to say it that way.
Oh my goodness. You sound like a hit.
Vayechi.
Vayechi.
Okay.
I'm from the mountains.
You don't know where you're from. It's just.
I'm sorry, Sandy. How would you pronounce it?
Vayechi.
Vayechi. Oh, well, I pronounce Vayechi too. So.
Okay, gentlemen, you win.
All right.
Okay, there you go. So you can find those kind of things out on the Lamb website. You know, if you'll go to the Torah Portions page, you can look stuff like that up and find those kind of little things. But I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting.
This Torah portion for this week was never ever discussed in the year 2019 because it never came up. Not once, not one day did it come up. But in 2020, it was at the first of the year, and now it's at the last of the year.
Well, I have something to say about this too. If you want more fun, facts, information, and trivia, you can go to Torah or Not Torah and get the game. The game is fun. It's a great pastime. You and your family will learn so much and enjoy it. Torah or Not Torah. There you go, Mark.
And there'll be times that you'll just simply go,
Well, if they are questions, they're answers, they are things that make you want to go, that's an old Arsenio Hall thing that he used to do at the beginning of the show. But there is no Torah or Not Torah.com or anything anymore. You just have to get that by emailing me and asking for it. However, my book, Experiencing the Big X, is now fully republished and ready to go for free. You can actually read the novel that has more words than War and Peace. You can go on the website and actually read it right from the website. So along with a lot of other things, I've completely redone it. I've actually even made a video introduction to it. But anyway, enough of all of that. I'm taking up John's time.
Well, hey, I want to say hello to those that are in the chat room this morning. I'm seeing pop up there, Bob, Paul, Lynn, Dane. Good to have you guys. I'm so glad that y'all are joining us this morning. And
everybody else who's not.
And everybody that's not in the chat room, you might want to jump in there and say hi or something like that too. We'd love to see you. Or not. Or maybe.
Oh, it's your show. You do what you want.
Hey, so okay, now that we've had a little bit of trivia this morning, I have to share with you some headlines from around the world. These are true headlines, and just to kind of make you think, maybe untwist your brain a little bit, some points to ponder. So here's a headline that was found over in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. This is what they said: forecasters call for weather on Monday. You go. So that was number one on the list. Do you know that we might have weather today, Sandy? Okay. How about this one? This was over in which headline was this? It didn't even tell me. What? You didn't tell me where it was at. Okay. Well, it's here. It says a headline. I can't tell you the newspaper, but it was from the Associated Press, and it says, amphibious pitcher makes debut. Talking about Major League Baseball, by the way. That's That's a pitcher. It's not like an pitcher, Sandy. I wanted to clarify.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So amphibious pitcher makes debut, but later on in the article, it says that it's an ambidextrous pitcher. So somebody was not communicating with the article. I don't know. How about this one? Cows lose their jobs as milk prices drop.
I think that cows.
That's disturbing. That's really disturbing. So it's heartbreaking when cows can't bring in a steady income. That's what it goes on and says. But all right. So number 4 for today. I've got a couple more after that. And this one is miracle cure kills 5th patient. That's a headline I want to hear. So, of course, that was by the Associated Press. So just wanted to let you know that there may be a deranged hospital serial killer out there. Maybe, I don't know this word. You can't use cure, by the way. It's not an appropriate word according to the FDA. So, and this next one, you want to, okay, here we go. It is man accused of killing lawyer receives a new attorney. Do you want to be his attorney? Like that. Mark, don't do it. Don't do it, Mark. No. Oh, it's so bad that Mark is wanting to.
It is impressing me.
Or is it depressing our listeners?
It's impressing me.
Okay. And Mark, if y'all are listening.
Come on, let's pat him on the back.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, okay. Last but not least, my last headline that I just want you to know that was out there before we talk about a current event headline. And it is state population to double by 2040. Babies to blame.
Well, that's kind of like it's all guns' fault that people get killed, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it the same principle as, it's babies' fault that population increases all the time?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. You'll figure.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it'd be the same type people that would come up with that,
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give you guys just some points to ponder, some things to let you know that I think there's a disconnect. I'll have to say that. I think there's a disconnect between those who write the headlines and those who write the articles.
I have a quick little something. You got your computer in front of you, right?
I do.
Type this, get a new tab up, and type this into a new Google search. Just get a new tab up and type it in exactly like this.
Okay.
President of the United States 2021.
Don't.
And hit enter.
No, don't do it.
Yes, do it. Who shows up?
Well,
you have to type it in exactly that way. President of the United States 2021.
Trump will be sworn in as U.S. president in 2021.
Okay.
That's the first headline that popped up.
Oh, it's not a headline. You shouldn't get a headline.
Oh, the picture.
You shouldn't get a headline at all.
The first picture that pops up is Obama.
No. Did you type in President of the United States 2021?
Yeah, but
in a Google tab search.
No, he didn't use Google.
I don't use Google.
Okay.
Google. Hey, do it now. Do you use Google? You do Google.
Okay.
Google Live. But
when you do it in Google, it pops up a great big picture of Trump, President of the United States, 2021.
It does.
It does. Look at
that thing there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
the other one popped up a picture of Obama. Tell me how that one worked.
well. Anyway, I thought that was kind of fun.
That is very interesting.
Well, it is truth.
It is the truth.
Well, no, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is. We're not going there today, but oh, yes, it is.
No, after December 13th, once the Electoral College voted, done deal.
No, it's not.
The deal is once they voted, done deal.
You are so full of humor today, Mark. I really appreciate the sarcasm, the sardonic nature of.
No, I'm just. Hey, I teach a show called Contemplating the Constitution. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So you should never question anything that I have to say when it comes to stuff like that, because I teach this kind of thing. So don't ever question me. No. It's a done deal. They've already voted. The Electoral College voted December 13th.
Yeah.
Lucille.
Well,
whatever your name is.
I'm going to say that this month that is ahead of us is probably going to be one of the most interesting months in all of U.S. history. And that's saying a big thing. This is huge. So anyway, so I wanted to, so let's go on and I've got some news this morning. You want to give us our news bumper there?
Oh, of course I do. That's
all right.
One of my favorite things to do. All right. We'll see you. We'll see you on the other side. Bye, John.
Bye. Well, so I've got an interesting article here that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention because it really does affect us as Americans, especially Americans that work in a workplace. For those of you that are not self-employed and you do work for an employer, this is something that you want to pay special attention to, and especially considering the circumstances that's going on in the United States, and that's all surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine. So we have two major things that are going on. Of course, is the election of the re-election of President Trump, but also this COVID-19 vaccine that was released a couple weeks ago, and some of the guidelines that are being presented and sent out to us. And so this article actually comes out of the Chicago Tribune, and the headline is EEOC guidance. And it says, yes, employers can require COVID-19 vaccine. So let's get into what's in the article. Then we'll have some time to discuss it. It says the EEOC, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which, by the way, makes sure that there's no discrimination between race, religious belief, education, all of those different things. And yet they've determined that an employer can require workers to get vaccinated against COVID-19 and offered guidance on exceptions. So employers have been hoping for clarity from the agency as they mull whether to mandate vaccination, even as many people remain concerned about the safety of the vaccine developed so quickly and not tested on certain populations. And the guidance published Wednesday mostly confirmed that attorneys have been advising clients as vaccines begin to be distributed. In essence, the EEOC said employers can require the employees get inoculated as a condition of going to work unless an employee declines because of, and this is the key, unless the employee declines because of a disability or a sincere held religious belief. So hang on to that clause right there. Nicole Costa, pharmacy manager at Amada Health Presence Medical Center in Joliet, this is in Illinois, of course, Chicago Tribune, prepares the COVID-19 vaccine to be administered to medical personnel on December 16th. In such cases, the employer must offer a reasonable accommodation to the employee, such as working remotely, as long as the accommodation doesn't cause undue hardship for the employer. If there's no accommodation possible, then an employer may prohibit the employee from entering the premises, but not necessarily fire the worker. The employer must see if the employee has any other rights under federal or local laws, including the ability to take unpaid leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act. And so it goes on under the American with Disabilities Acts. Before an employer can exclude a worker from the physical work site, the employer must determine if the unvaccinated employee present a significant risk in harm to health or safety that cannot be eliminated or reduced through reasonable accommodations. The EEOC also clarified the applicability of certain laws to COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Vaccination, it says, does not constitute a medical examination under the ADA that would require an employer to show it's job-related or consistent with business necessity. However, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends asking screening questions before administering a vaccine to ensure there is no medical reason that would prevent a person from receiving it. And that is a medical inquiry that would have to meet the business necessity standard. Okay, we're going to talk about what all this means. That doesn't apply if the vaccine is voluntary or if a third-party provider without a contract with the employer, like a pharmacy, administers the vaccine. So, anyway, that's kind of a breakdown of what the article is saying. Employers can ask workers if they've received the vaccine without implicating the ADA or the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act. I want to bring Mark back on, and Sandi, I want you to come back in. And as we talk about this thing that's actually in the workplace that we are all having to look at and be subject to because of this vaccine that is being administered. This vaccine, by the way, they've actually removed from the CDC at my last look, they were actually removed the anaphylactic damage that it's done to people that have taken it because they are continuing with the message out there that it is safe and effective.
Even though in Australia, everybody that took the vaccine has HIV now?
Yeah, they came up positive with HIV in Australia.
And so that's the same that from Pfizer. It's from Pfizer and Moderna. So it's the same thing. And yet in Australia, says they're not going to mandate the vaccine, but yet here in the U.S. they are.
So we'll clarify. It was the University of Queensland that developed that vaccine down there, and yet Pfizer and Moderna is what's in the United States, and Pfizer is the one that's in Germany. And there's a lot of backlash even in Europe. People are not wanting to take this vaccination. The AstraZeneca product that was in Great Britain has also caused a lot of injury where people are not able to take the.
Hasn't this vaccine caused death already too?
It has caused death, and it's caused anaphylactic shock where people are not able to return to normal work on a number of people. Now they're trying to say, well, there's a number of people that are fine as a result of taking the vaccination.
Okay, I have a question. If you have had China virus, why do you need a vaccine? And why do you need a vaccine for something that's 99.997% not a big deal?
Recoverable, in other words. Yeah.
So why do you need a vaccine if you've had it? And number two, why do you need a vaccine? And if you have to have a vaccine, why do you need masks? And why do you need distancing? And why do you need all of that? You know what? This is such a farce. And it is a farce. And you know what disgusts me more than anything is that the American people are stupid. Yeah, I'm not going to mix words on that. The American people are stupid. I walk around here in Amarillo, Texas, that's supposed to be a conservative place, that's supposed to stand up for truth, and people are masked. And I read an article that in Chicago, it's not that way. In other places, people are so stupid because they don't get their news from places that tell the truth. And they sit there and follow the line and act like zombies. Go ahead and take the vaccine and everything else because you're already a zombie anyway. You aren't any good, earthly good, if you can't. Anyway.
Tell us how you really feel, Sandi.
But the next problem is that no company should be able to tell you what you can and cannot do with your body. That's a whole nother thing. Okay, if they said, before you enter here, you need to go ahead and make sure that you abort all children that you might have, or that you take the pill that does it, or that you do. There's so many things. You cannot mandate what you do in your body, put in your body to have a job. That it's, as you said, if it's supposed to protect against discrimination, my goodness, hello. Let's stop being contradictory in what we believe and what we say.
All right. So no, these are all, actually, they're all really good points. Mark, what are your thoughts about this article where it's talking that the EEOC says that employers can require employees get inoculated as a condition of employment?
Well, Sandy stole all my glory. I'm the one that always tells people they're stupid. She got that from me. She was never this passionate until she did shows with me, and now it's but it's okay. It's okay.
This is where we reason it out, right?
Pass it along to Sandy, and maybe she can get others to be passionate too. What do I think? I think I agree. I think that this country, as it stands right now, we still do have freedoms. As it stands right now, there are some freedoms left, and we can stand for it. By the way, I'd let you know I got my card and all the information and made a donation to citizensforfreespeech.com and suggest that everybody else does it and get their stuff, and I agree, and it makes it actually what's on the card here makes it real clear. It actually talked about a couple of things that you talked about right there on, like the Americans with Disabilities Act, all of that type of thing. So, it doesn't make any difference what my opinion is so much as it is. I think each individual has to, as with everything else in life, you have to make your own decisions. You have to be informed, and you're the one that has to go out there and inform yourself. If you're not going to do that, then of course you're stupid. I mean, if you go to vote and you're not informed on who you're voting for, but you're just going to vote, then you're stupid. And there's just so many different things that start stacking up from that point. What I was trying to remember, there's something that Adina and I were talking about on the voting thing, but I can't think of what it is now. But it comes down to I can't say it right, so I'm not going to say it. If I think about it, I'll bring it back up before we're done. But I don't know. I think being informed, I think there's nothing else that you can say about anything, but be informed on what you're doing. Make your own decision. We all have to be accountable at the when we stand in front of the Lord. Each one of us have to be individually accountable, for what we've done when we stand in front of the Lord. I think it applies to right now, this very minute, this very day, and for the rest of your lives. You are responsible for the decisions that you make. If you aren't informed, then it's it's just the wrong decisions usually.
Mark, and that's really the key right now. Sandy and I had this discussion yesterday. We were talking about it, and how we were talking about how in other cities and other places around the country, the people not wearing masks, like in Amarillo, it's almost like a 95 to 99% compliance wearing a mask. And I had heard this quote in the past, and I think most people have, and it is, readers are leaders. Readers are leaders. So the opposite would be true. Those that are not readers our followers. And that is where the issue comes in, is that when people are informed, not only are they informed of their rights, but they're also informed with what is truth that's out there that can be discovered, and then they can recognize where that is and where they are, and then they can make decisions accordingly. Now, I think there's a lot of people that are wearing masks, for example, because they just don't want the hassle. So they're just going to wear the mask. I choose not to, because I think that's falling into compliance and losing my liberty. In fact, there's a website, I think it's called libertytakers.com. And y'all can go there because there's some really good information and basically about how we as an American people are so ready to give up our liberties for the sake of maybe convenience. We'll give up our liberties because we don't want to have confrontation. We want to give up our liberties for a number of different reasons, and we would just get along to go along, and that's what we need to recognize, is why are we so willing to do that? And where's the backbone of the American people? And I think this is one of the things where if you're an employee, that you need to start speaking out right now as employers, are actually making decisions about whether or not to vaccinate. You need to start talking to your employers, and you need to start talking to your coworkers about the vaccine and the dangers, particularly of this vaccine. Not only does it have the aborted fetal baby cells in it, it has a number of other different things that are in there to create a reaction. Now, I want to also say this: back on December the 12th, when there was a big rally in Washington, D.C., those that know who Alex Jones is, and by the way, it's not the straw character that the media makes him into. He was actually there. He has contacts with lots of different people, including one of the chief science officers in the United States, who came up to him and pointed to him in his chest, and he said, "Do not take this vaccine. It will kill you." And so I'm just going to say that. I mean, the vaccine will kill you. It may be a slow kill. It may be a fast kill. The risks are huge.
What about the DNA changing?
It has DNA. It has DNA changing qualities. It changes the cellular
technology.
It changes the cellular structure. It does have nanobodies in it. You can do the research for yourself. And there's 22 listed very serious systemic changes that it causes to the body that are life altering. And
it's the first it's the first vaccine that messes with the RNA factor.
Yeah, which changes the DNA. So, so this is why I brought up this article is because, one, you need to have a show of force within your workplaces to say, we as the workers of this business, we're not going to take it. Do not force us to take it. And you have every right to fight that, because you have every right not to be discriminated against in the workplace. And as Mark was talking earlier, on that card, we've got those cards. I wear it when I go into stores and stuff. I've yet to be confronted for not wearing a mask. And but also, there are certain conditions that they're saying don't take this vaccine if you have certain conditions, if you have allergies, if you've had anaphylactic shocks in the past. You shouldn't have to go to to get a vaccine, an inoculation, and have to carry an EpiPen with you. There's been some very severe reactions because of the shot. But here's the other thing, and it says sincerely held religious belief. And this last week, in fact, I gave a letter to a young man that is part of our congregation that works in the healthcare industry, that it's a letter saying that we give to people for the flu vaccine, because we know even the flu vaccine is dangerous.
Has those same things in it: formaldehyde, aborted fetus, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, mercury, aluminum, all those different things are very dangerous to the body. And by the way, the coronavirus 19 vaccine doesn't even have coronavirus in it. It has nothing in it.
Because it's not the point. The point is to kill you.
So, because a true vaccine typically has a dead or live virus that's associated with it. So, nevertheless, here's the thing: we provided a letter to this young man that he's presenting to his employer, saying that it is against his religious belief that to take a vaccine that has certain products in it, and including pork products. And that's also included in the vaccine ingredients. So we don't want to put anything that's unclean within our body, let alone a bunch of different chemicals and heavy metals that would cause sickness or life-shortening systemic changes that are within the vaccine. So we provide that letter and if you have a congregation that you're part of, your congregation can get that letter and put it on their letterhead. And so you can have to present to your employer. And also, I would say for anybody else that's part of your workplace, get a copy of that letter and say, look, this person, there's the objection, and here's the religious objection to it, and not be discriminated against. Because the other thing is they're still saying if you get the shot, you're still going to have to wear a mask, you're still going to have to social distance, you're going to have to do all these different things. So basically, it's stupidity. Even if you've already had COVID-19, and I'll tell you, if you've had COVID-19, you've had COVID-19. There's no doubt about it. There's no asymptomatic saying, well, I tested positive, I must have had it. No, when you've had it. It really does affect the body, but it's okay because you're going to come out on the other end, and you're going to be healthy, and you're going to be able to fight this thing and be part of the herd immunity. So
I want to say this, even people, my niece is an RN, an emergency room nurse, and her husband is a cop, and they don't follow Torah and they don't know a lot, but what they do know is, this is very interesting. She and her husband refused the vaccine, even though she's a frontline worker, and so is he. And they came to the knowledge, they talked to a nurse and or something, and it showed that they plan to give 1/3 of the population of the world the vaccine by X. And she said, I remember something about that in Revelation. By the end of 2021. And she went to the book of Revelation, and she said 1/3 of the population would be destroyed by da-da-da-da. And she and her husband, though they don't know a lot of word necessarily or anything else, at least use a little bit of common sense and said, hey, those two things equal out. And then she also heard, because she's in the medical community, how bad that vaccine actually is. So she's using her head. I'm so proud of her for this. And she refused the vaccine. How dumb is everybody else? I'm sorry. But we should be standing up for what we can, our rights. And we should not have to put something in our bodies that's contrary to the word. I wish you had something with a list of ingredients. I know you have, it's out there, because the Bible is very specific about what we can put in our bodies, what we can consume. Very specific. And those ingredients are against Torah. It's not Torah. You just take the first, I'm not talking one or two. I'm talking pretty much everything. That is not according to the word. So why would we, even as a population, consider it? And I know there's Hebrew roots people out there that are pro-vaccine too. And I'm like, that's stupid. It is. And why would you put something in your body like that? Why are you running so panicky and so scared of something that's nothing? Yes, people do die just as they die from the flu and colds and cancer. And by the way, if you've noticed, there's almost zero flu and cold deaths this year because everything is categorized as COVID. And I think it's also very interesting that there seems to be this mass release of the virus, a secondary, or the virus that was done a couple weeks ago. And I'm very, that's a whole nother topic of conversation, which we're not going there. But guys, it's just not about that. Huh?
Sorry about that. My phone, I didn't have it on.
This isn't about helping you live and live life more abundantly. It's about killing you or making you less than human. Either way, guys. And when you succumb to it, you are going right into the plan of the evil one, of the enemy. And you need to you need to fight back. That's all I can say.
Well, and just to back up over here, there's a Dr. Richard Urso, MD, was on this article is over at IntelliHub, and he was interviewed by the host of this website, and it says that during the broadcast that the vaccine's messenger RNA goes into the body and can accidentally or on purpose can get transcribed into your own DNA. So basically, your DNA is altered, but it takes on. In other words, now the cells of your body is now patented by the makers of the vaccine,
which you are now owned.
You're now owned by the makers of the vaccine. So that's kind of disturbing to me in and of itself. I'm still looking for that other part.
There's so much, and all I can say is people, be informed and stop walking out of fear. If you say you believe in Yeshua, that's where your faith should be. If it's your time to die, you're going to die. But guess what? We pray that we fulfill every purpose for which Yahweh has called us. And it doesn't have to be by that. And so if you call yourself a person of faith, stop walking around in fear, because fear is not faith, folks. You fear man, and you fear man's vaccines and the stuff that the enemy has done more than you fear God. And that's the bottom line, because we know you by your fruit. And if your fruit reads you walk around in fear, that's all I can say.
And that's a struggle that a lot of people are having too, as well. And that has to do with fear. Because of the hysteria that's been caused. And that's why I keep saying, don't fear, because if you do get sick, you're going to, it's okay, because you're going to come out on the other side.
But if you are fearing, it shows you do not have faith. You have more faith in man than you have in God, period.
And that God's not given us a spirit of fear, but that of power, love, and a sound mind. So if we're dealing with fear, then we know that there needs to be some heart searching. Get into that prayer closet and say, Father, I'm fearful. I'm dealing with this. You've not given me a spirit of fear. I need deliverance. I need to get this flipped around, changed around, and in my life, so that I have the right attitude on this, and that your peace, your shalom rest upon me. Because I tell you what, it's when people are confident in what they know, when true peace comes. And the true shalom comes. So
okay, I find this comment very interesting, because Tova said, "Amen." And don't listen to the Orthodox rabbinic community. Will advise you, you're not consuming it by mouth, so it's okay. Or life above all else, it's obedience to Yah above all else. So in the Orthodox community, having a pig heart placed in you would be just fine then, because you're not consuming it by mouth. Or the whole point of not having pork in those tissues of bottom feeders placed in you, or putting them in your body, is because they will affect your body. What you put in your body affects, whether it goes in through an IV, through a shot, through surgery, or through your mouth, folks. That's a really messed up thing. So, and when you want to disobey Yah's word, you can find any excuse that will do.
Right. So I'm looking for the ingredients. You probably want to do some research on your own of what's in there, because right now people are very limited in what they're putting out there. You really need to get that data sheet that comes with the vaccine box. It'll give you all the details, because they're really trying to hide much of what is in the vaccine. If you try to look it up.
That one doctor has it, that I can't think of her name. She has it. Anyway.
So, Mark, any last words there?
Well, one of the things you mentioned sparked a memory, and that is the aborted fetus tissue that's in there. Before Lamb Radio, Lamb Network was even conceived, I and several other people used to do podcasts, and we had a show on those podcasts called The Wall Watchman. And we're going on 9 years. After the first of the year in March, the Lamb Network will be celebrating going into its 9th year broadcasting 24/7, 365. And so little over 9 years ago, we did an entire broadcast on the Wall Watchman, and actually an entire interview with somebody about that. What you're talking about, the aborted fetal tissue that is taken for, and it's a big market for this. What the reason is, I don't remember, but there were a multitude of products that we as consumers use every day that is in. For instance, and I don't know exactly how all that, what it is today. So I'm putting my disclaimer out there before I say this was 9-10 years ago, but they literally, it was, and these companies did publicly say, yes, we are using this chemical, which is an extract from fetal tissue. And the Pepsi Corporation was using it, and international, what they make, like creamers. You can buy international brand or something of creamers for your coffee. There was a list and a half, and I can't remember who it was that we interviewed, but it's so funny that this was like 10 years ago we did this show, and it's still coming up as being used in different things, and now it comes up as an ingredient in the vaccine. I wish I could remember exactly what the reason for using this chemical is, because they can't get that chemical from any other source, and they can't physically produce it. In other words, like generically produce it. It has to come from aborted fetal tissue.
But here's the kicker, Mark. I remember that, and I remember the list of ingredients. One of them was water, and I don't remember if it was Nestle or something else. Water had it in there. Now tell me why there would ever be a necessity to put that in water or anything else. Let's be real honest. There's no need. Just
well, and those are they call those flavor enhancers. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so, but why are they using really a form of cannibalism?
It's what I was about to say. You're a cannibal if you consume those products.
Yeah. And we know what happens when you consume.
I'm sorry, but I don't need Torah to even tell me that I shouldn't be consuming this. Yeah. I mean, yes, we do need Torah to tell us what's food and not food, but this subject, this thing here, if it really is in the vaccine, I don't even need Torah to tell me not to consume this.
Well, so the Vatican came out. The Vatican just came out this week and said it is okay to use aborted babies to put it in your body. The Vatican.
Okay, well, let's just take it to the next step and say, if you have it in you to not care whether or not you're consuming human flesh, if you don't care, if you're consuming human flesh, I have to go along with Paul and say, I'm giving you over to the Lord, because I have nothing for you. I mean, even if you don't believe in God at all, and you have no problem with consuming human flesh, I got nothing for you. Seriously, that's between you and the devil. You get what I'm saying? No, yeah. It doesn't make at this point. You got no argument at all, and I couldn't even debate that subject with somebody. What kind of debate could you do? Sorry, okay, but that's a major point there.
Well, and here and taking it back to the article in regards to our employers and saying, hey, I'm not going to take it, ladies. If you're of childbearing age, then you also need to make sure that you understand what's happening with the protein that's associated with the RNA factor, is that it replicates that which is the placenta, in the growing of the baby. And so when you put that in your body will now look at the placenta as an enemy and will abort the baby, will miscarry that baby. And so you need to understand that this will make you sterile.
Yes. And I've read that in several places myself, that taking this vaccine will make you sterile. So come on, folks.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of other dangers, a lot of other things you need to be looking at. But you need to talk to your employer. You've got to be talking to them now, not when they start rolling it out and saying you're required to take it.
Do it
You've
now.
got to talk to your employers now.
But doesn't this go along with the whole population control to reduce the population to 500 million?
Yes, it is. It's all part of that. They've also have come to find out is that you need to, and if you're a male of childbearing age, you also need to be looking at that the very COVID-19 itself, which is lab made, it was lab born. Didn't happen in the natural. It's a combination of 5 different diseases. I just want to let you know that it was designed to cause men to be sterile. And so you need to be looking at that personally. You need to be talking about that. Lot of other elements. I want to say thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for your comments on this, and Sandy, certainly appreciate that. I think it's time for us to move to our next section, which is
experts. You guys are the experts. That's all there is to it.
All right. So let's talk about Torah. Let's bring that in.
All right. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit today actually about the ark. And I'm going to relate it actually a little bit to what we just spoke about. But we know in this Torah portion that we know the bones of Joseph, the bones of Joseph are being carried and brought to Shechem, right? Genesis 50:25-26. Joseph died at the age of 110 years, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin, which is an ark, which is an aron. Okay, that is the same word that we use for the ark. Okay, is there a mistake? I don't know. Let's talk about it for just a few minutes, because maybe there's something it's going to teach us. Now, you may say, well, wait. So the bones of Joseph were carried in an ark. Well, what about the ark? Well, actually, tradition says there were actually 2 arks that were led Israel through the desert. The Aron containing the bones of Joseph, and the Aron containing the tablets of the covenant, and in Hebrews, the manna and the rod of Aaron that budded and things like that. It is said that both arks were going simultaneously side by side. Now, before we go further with that, I want to just, as a reminder, let's look at the word Aron real quick, and let's see in Hebrew, and let's see what it means and what it has in it, because we know that the ark was created and patterned. It was a pattern given to Moshe by Yahweh, right? And it was 2.5 cubits in length and 1.5 cubits in both its width and height, of acacia wood, and it was covered with skins and a blue cloth. So that's kind of stuff we studied in other Torah portions, and we'll study again this year coming up. But we also have to remember that the Aron, the ark, came to symbolize the Shekinah, the Shekinah glory of Yahweh himself, his resting place, carrying his glory, his light. So, put that together. The light of God was in the ark, the Shekinah of God. That's a better word. The Shekinah of God, his presence. So when you think about traveling through the wilderness and the various locations in Eretz Israel, the ark, we know, eventually came to rest in the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple. But once there, scripture says it was literally a cloud of glory that filled the house of Yah. And what was that cloud? The cloud was the manifestation of God's physical presence here on earth. That's his Shekinah. Now, if you listen to Eddie, you always know that cloud and the glory of his presence and glory, they're the same. They can be interchanged with one another, because the ark ark remained in the first temple until the temple's destruction. And if you recall, there was no ark in the second temple. All right. Always remember that. The ark wasn't there. And I'm not going to go through the various theories of where the ark is or may or may not be, but the ark wasn't there. So as mentioned, the Hebrew word for ark is what? A-R-O-N. And it is the same word for coffin. And Aron comes from the root that means order. Now, this is important. Or in this case, it can be, a box used to keep items and things in order. Order. It's very important. So Aron is basically a container. So it can refer to either a container for the tablets or the collection of boxes used in the temple. But there's something more that is in the literal meaning of Aron, okay? Because it's a box used for the receiving and for the safeguarding of others when you look a little bit more deeply into the meaning. And that really seems to relate to the purpose of the tablets of stone. What are they supposed to do? They are supposed to help us for the receiving and safeguarding of Israel, all of the people. But now remember, when there's a family of words, the root, when the root is the same, there's some meaning that can be added to the word. It's called the family of words. In fact, we look at it to understand the depth of what a word means in Hebrew. So when you add a vav to the root of Aron, you actually have the word for light. In fact, there's two words that are for light that are used, that are related to this. Now, is that a mistake? Because when you think about it, the ark is supposed to be the presence of Yahweh, his glory, the cloud that surrounded his presence. But think about light. Even more precisely, a lamp that is an oil-filled container with a wick that gives off light. What are the commandments supposed to do? They're supposed to bring order from chaos. They're supposed to bring light into darkness so the community can be guided. Now, you've heard me say this over and over. We are to be that light. Just as Yeshua is light, we are to be that light as well. We are to be the living, walking Torah scrolls. So we are also supposed to be the light that puts things in order in the midst of the darkness. Psalm 119:105 says, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." Proverbs 6:23 says, "The commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light and the path of life for instruction." So just looking at these, and we look at the word Aron, there has to be something that has to do with bringing light and bringing order out of chaos, bringing light into darkness. Now, maybe it's hidden in the word, and that we can even relate to Joseph, because his name Zephne Paneach means the hidden one, and the Torah is hidden not only in the Aron, but it's also supposed to be hidden within our hearts, but yet manifest in our action. So why would tradition say that Joseph's bones were being carried alongside the ark of Joseph's bones were carried alongside the ark? Well, I want you to think about it, because we are supposed to give off light. I'm not saying his bones give off light, but in Joseph's time, he also was a representation of Messiah. So I know that the rabbis say, this is a quote, "How does the ark of the dead come next to the ark of the living? The dead man enshrined in the one fulfilled the commands of the other." And that's very interesting, because if we fulfill the commands of the other, we are bringing light into the world. So just Joseph was supposed to be this picture of Messiah who brought light into the world, who brought salvation to a world, actually. And and then you look at bones and trees are related words because of how their shape and their function. And the Torah is also called a tree of life. So maybe there's some sort of mystery with Joseph's coffin, because Joseph in his light was salvation to the world, brought light out in order into chaos. Yet that is what the Torah does. So was it a mistake that the possibility that both were carried? Because we are supposed to be a living ark as well, in that we carry the presence of Yahweh. And when you look at those words together side by side, and you think of both arks traveling together, Joseph had that function just as you and I have that function. And of course, carrying God's presence and having that Torah in our hearts also makes us carry his presence wherever we go. And so I wanted us to just sort of discuss together, what does that mean? How does that relate? How, to think about the Aaron of Joseph's bones being carried alongside the ark, and how they relate together. All right.
One thing I just want to mention a couple of different things. I want to hear what Mark has to say, but I was just thinking about how Joseph, the meaning of his name, Joseph, is to be fruitful and bountiful and that type of thing. And so there's a representation of the bountifulness that comes as we carry the ark, or that we carry the light within us. And I think about, Yeshua is the way, the truth, and the life, that he is the light of the world. And so it's not about dead bones. It's about the life that those bones speak about. And you think about, was it Elisha's grave when what was it? There's two guys that they were escaping from, was it the Midianites or something like that? And their friend was dead, and they threw his body into the grave, and he fell on top of Elisha's bones, and he was resurrected. We think about that really, that our bones are a representation of life, and really that our bones are a representation of a continuation of life. It's the resurrection power that our bones should carry. I just think about that anointing.
The resurrection power. I like that.
It's about that, where Elisha had such an anointing on him that a dead body that fell on it came alive. It speaks of really how life is, where life is coming from, and that's coming from that relationship.
But also, when you relate it to what we just spoke about, are we in our action bringing light into a dark world by complying? I don't want to go there. We're not going to have that discussion. But isn't our mission still the same, to bring light and order out of chaos and into darkness? And to do that is, we can't go along with the flow and be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Mark.
Okay.
Sorry, you say Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
What was give me the definition of Aaron again? ARON.
Part of it is is order.
Okay.
But it is,
and
Aharon.
What is the definition of Aharon?
I didn't bring the definition of Aharon. I just brought the definition of Aaron.
Okay, which is order. And to me, order is foundation. In other words, you can't have order if you don't have a foundation. I mean, there's a lot of ways to build this thing, and I think build even is the key word on this. Is that for me to have order with anything, I have to start from a certain point, and starting from a certain point means foundation. It means a base to go by. Now take that into our bodies. When our bodies are created, first it's bones, and we have to have that foundation. You take our bones out of our body, and all the other stuff that is living is there. I have to mute you. There's something I'm feeding back. There we go. I was getting feedback from I couldn't hear it. But bones, to me, is the foundation for our body and everything. And that puts the order of things. Everything that, I lost that part of my body. That order is gone. But everything else, there's your base foundation of who we are. And so that you have to have that to put anything in order, because that order, it comes from how the foundation's laid out. Look at a house. Your foundation of your house is set in a certain way that when the house is set on it, you don't build a house in a different order than the foundation is. It's the same with our bones. So I think your coffin and your box and all of those type things they have their purpose, but you got to have the foundation first. And when you're talking about the person that fell on the bones and life came to them, it restructured, it gave life, because you have to have that order. In my life, if there's not order, there's chaos. And we know that chaos is against God. Everything has to be done decently and in order. And that's what I hear when all the things that you put together. That's the best I can do with what I got out of it anyway. So
good. I like that.
Hold on. Oh, now you can go.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that was good. That was good, Mark. I was thinking when you were talking about that, the old song, them bones, them dry bones. But yeah, and
this bone's connected to that bone. If it's not connected, you got chaos. So yeah. All those things. But I don't know how the Torah portion can. I'm not the Torah portion, but the Brit can relate to that. And I'm sure once. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, John.
No, you're good. Let's go ahead and talk about the Brit. Go ahead and bring that in.
Oh, the Brit being John 13, 1 through 19 is what I have when I look it up. Yeshua washing the disciples' feet. And as I read over this and before hearing what Sandi brought, which is always amazingly good, the stuff I never have thought about before. And it goes on. You go down to verse, John 13, let's start at verse 6. He came to Simon Peter, said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? And Yeshua answered him, what I am doing, you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Yeshua answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no share with me. Shimon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. And that sparks to me the understanding, and we can go back to what Sandi was talking about, or what I was trying to say. The base foundation to what Peter was getting at is also a base foundation within all Judaism, is that all things have to, especially in the body. Wow, this is really working out. In the body, you have everything has to be from the extremities. So Yeshua was watching his feet, and Kepha says, not only my feet, but my hands and my head, which are the extremities of the body. So if you cover the feet, the hands, and the head, the body has to be incorporated into that. And my next thought on that is davening. You guys are familiar with davening, right? You know what davening is. Okay. Davening, the definition of davening, let's go to that. The definition literally means to pray the liturgy. That's what it means. But if you ever watch a Jew pray, his entire body is moving. Every single molecule of that person's body is moving. A lot of times we see them do this, but if you really watch them, it's not just the upper part. It's their legs, it's their feet, everything in the entire body is moving because it has to do with the extremities are worshiping God, and all of that has to be in order together to worship God. So I looked it up, and there's a couple of different things. For instance, Psalm 35:10 says, "All my bones shall say, Hashem, who is like unto thee," are interpreted as an appeal to involve one's whole body in prayer. Another explanation explains rhythmic movement as a way to concentrate on praying and learning to ward off distracting thoughts. But what it does is it ignites the soul with the spirit and the body all in one. So when Peter says, not only my feet, but my hands and my head also, he is actually incorporating everything that is a foundation within Judaism, in the spirit, with God, all of that as one. And so I can see it's interesting that this part, what I'm thinking about here, does go along with what you're talking about, in that it has to do with the foundation and the body and the bones, all of that working together. Without that, you got nothing.
Well, I like what you said too, because it's bringing order. If you think about our feet, when he is washing our feet with the word, washing our feet describes where we go. Our hands describe what we actually do. And our head, the head is always symbolic of being led by the spirit. If you're led by your heel, you're led by your flesh. So we're being, in everything that we do, we're being led by the spirit in everything we do with our hands and everywhere we go, where our feet tread. So I love that, because it is foundational. That sets up the foundation for those who walk in faith, and puts things in order in our lives so that we walk in that manner, and that so that we can truly be light and be that Aaron. So I think you put it all together perfectly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I love there in verse 12 where it goes on, it says, back in John 13, so when he had washed their feet and taken his garments and reclined at the table again, he said to them, "Do you know what I've done to you?" And really kind of bringing it back is do we honestly, when we come to Yeshua and he's done that cleansing, he literally cleanses it. He washes our feet. He literally washes us from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. That's what the washing of the word, is really all about. It causes everything, every manner of life, every conversation, which is our lifestyle. It's changed. It's different. And it really has restructured our way that we live, our manner of living. And that's why when there's a true conversion of the heart, it's a complete transformation, that we're not like the way we used to be. We are a new person and a new creation, and all things truly have become new. So good.
Well, one more step, and you were actually almost right there. After he says, do you understand what I've done to you? He says, you what you've done. Let's see. So in other words, if I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. So in other words, that takes it to the next step, is that, yes, I'm an individual and this is my body, but as we all connect together in unity, we are all one body. And that's the way it should work. So the Lord washes each one of us. We wash each other's feet. We wash each other and keep each other accountable. It's all one body. So, I mean, you can take that exponentially into a lot of areas. So, good.
Yeah, good. Good, Mark. Well, hey, that was really good. Sandi bringing the Torah portion, and Mark, you brought it right in together with that. And if you really want to tie it in together, with all of it, even what we were talking about with current events, it is really why, and I said this earlier, readers are leaders. And if you're not reading, you're following. And so this is why. It also
depends on what you're reading.
It matters what you read, but if we read for the truth, it's those things that transform us and allows us to say, wait, something's wrong. Something's wrong in this life that we're living. Something's wrong with this picture. And it causes us to make sure we stay on that right path. And so whether it's, spiritual, it's current events, whatever it is, that's how we're going to live this thing out. And that's what's going to make sure that our foundation is good bones. We watched a movie the other day and they're looking at a castle and the lady said, this castle has good bones. I mean, because she's like, well, it's 400 years old. And so that's the way we really need to look. We need to have good bones.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
all
take
right.
care of them.
Yeah, good deal. Well, hey, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for being with me today, Mark and Sandy, and being part of Let Us Reason Together. Thank you those that are in the chat room making comments there. Weren't able to comment on everything that y'all are saying, but thank you for being part of the conversation. If you like what you've listened to, give us a thumbs up, post it on your social networking, however it is. And by the way, I'm on Parler now. If anybody wants to join me over in Parler, it's JL Craig, or it's at JL Craig. So join me at Parler and post these things on
when
over
do you
there.
Have time for that?
I don't. I actually follow my main headlines over there at Parler. It's a lot easier because Facebook doesn't let you do headlines anymore. And but anyway,
isn't there an old saying that goes, "Join me in my parlor," said the spider to the fly.
Okay, all right, and then you can parlay.
No, I'm not. I've already parlayed with the Lord. Don't need to parlay no more.
Well, with that said, I'm just going to say, y'all, thank you too for being with me today. Those that are on here, those are going to be joining us in the archive later on. Thank you for watching. We love it. Thank you for being part of this family. And until next time, shalom.
Ta-ta.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.